Hi there, I'm Lyndon Thorpe. I'm an embodiment specialist, and I'm here today on Lodestone Lunch to welcome coaches and educators. I'm not sure if we'll have anyone joining us, but I know several people have registered. So I'm going to go ahead and make this recording for you. I wanted this to be a Zoom meeting so that we could interact and I could actually do some practice with you. But yeah, it's holiday time, so I guess people are busy. But I will make this recording so that you can watch it in your own time. Okay, so yes, you've probably seen me around on LinkedIn. I'm an author. I'm an embodiment specialist. I'm also a Buddhist priest. I'm many things. But my mission is to bring people out of their minds into their bodies. The body is far wiser than the mind. In fact, the mind doesn't have wisdom at all. It has knowledge. It has certain skills and certain uses which we need. We can't do without it. But the last 2 decades, the whole world seems to have focused itself on mindset and mindset shifting. So it's as if the body doesn't exist. It's as if the mind is the only way forward for human beings. Well, at this juncture in time, I fiercely disagree. As AI becomes agented, as we can do more and more to get help with all our business concerns as online business people, and also working in organizations and corporations and so on, we can get so much help from AI. But of course, it's the time also for us to really realize our humanity. Yeah. And because of the strong, severe focus on the mind and its capabilities, we really are becoming out of balance. There are so many cases of burnout, which in fact in the old days used to be called nervous breakdown, and really was a complete nervous collapse. And some people didn't recover from it. So it's very serious. And we've got imposter syndrome, where people may be successful on the outside, to outsiders, but inside they're cringing because they don't feel worthy of that. And maybe they've done something illegal or done something, unethical to get their success. So there are many conditions that are very troubling. And the reason for all these is that we are not balanced. We are out of balance. The 20th century and the early 21st century has really gone crazy for the mind. And I can tell you as an academic, an ex-academic, the mind is great, but it's very limited compared with the body and the spirit. Yeah. So I'd like to talk a little bit about body, mind, and spirit and how they need to be balanced. Yeah, your mind can do certain things, but if we change the view of the mind to consciousness instead of this small area of the brain, of the head, where the brain is lodged, then we can really start to look at it very differently. And in fact, a very startling statistic for many of you may be that the heart emanates incredible electromagnetic vibrations into the world, 60 times stronger than the brain. Yeah, the brain is a tiny organ compared with the heart. The power of the heart is incredible. And the lungs combined, they work together, of course, but we never consider them. The mind has kind of monopolized everything. So I'd like to really bring us down into the body. I'm going to do a little bit of practice with you today and every week, and I'll be here every Monday. And I hope next week we'll have some people joining me live so we can get a discussion going. But in the meantime, I'll broadcast this recording to give you an idea what it's all about. And if you'd like to know more about all this, then you can also join me on Friday for Lodestone 1 Q&A. Back in May of this year, I perfected a digital product which I released on the 1st of June, which is called Lodestone 1. And Lodestone recalibrates your inner compasses. It's audio transmission. There's an ebook to accompany it. And it's a 30-day glimpse, really, of your inner life through mindful practices, using meditative skills and so on, and 3 very special kinds of consciousness, which I've been experimenting with for years. And even here on LinkedIn, I've been working with something called Mindful Moments, Touch Your Heart every day on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And this is really catching on now. This is just 30 minutes of mindful practice. So I talk you through a mindful practice, and we compare how you are at the beginning and how you are at the end and so on. So I've really run that as a pilot for releasing my product on the 1st of June, and that is doing really well. So I'm very excited about that. But before we do some practice, let me share my screen with you, and I will give you a short presentation. I promise it won't be long. Just a moment. There we are. So let me move myself over here, and let's do a slideshow. Okay. Okay, so I'll talk first of all about Lodestone. I mentioned it a moment ago. Lodestone is an audio transmission over 30 days, which unlocks the 4 compasses, the 4 inner compasses. I have gone through all 4 of the compasses in my Lodestone Q&A on Friday, every Friday at 9 a.m. GMT. And so today, let me just talk a little bit about the compasses. Now you can see in my image here, we've got basically 4 compasses. There they are. We've got the brain. See how small it is compared with the heart and lungs? Tiny by comparison. We've got the brain and pineal gland, which is between the eyes, and the brain stem, which is down at the back of the neck. And the second compass is the heart and lungs. Okay. Third compass is just at the base of your breastbone. It's called the solar plexus, and it's the center of gravity of your body. And it's a really important energetic center. And then at the base of your body, you've got the base chakra, the base of the spine. And all of these compasses work together. But if they're not working, if they're not really pointing due north, then you are going to have lots of problems. Let's turn my light away a little bit. It's a bit strong. The compasses are out of kilter. You're probably feeling tired, low back pain, listless. Your emotional state is up and down. And that is because all of these compasses are out of sync. So my lodestone helps to recalibrate them. And it shows you that your awareness really is the most important thing if you want to lead a happy and successful life. So we have to learn to let the body listen before the mind interprets. That's what the mind does. The mind is a brilliant note taker. It interprets things, but not much else, really. It's the body that really is the center of every human being. And if your body, mind, and spirit are not balanced, then you're going to have lots of problems in life. And that's what we're seeing with burnout and all the other rather negative syndromes that are coming to the surface. Yeah, so when we practice outer awareness, we don't need words. We don't need images. We don't need them. We need those in the visual world. But if we close down the visual and go into the inner core, then we don't need them at all. We want reality, which is behind all the symbols. So the images and the words, they are mere symbols, and that's what the mind does. It interprets those symbols. But we want to go behind and below those. So we don't use words. I use words to guide you, but they're very carefully chosen over years of working with meditation and so on. And NLP comes into it too. And so, yeah, we don't need names. And we can enter the inner core very gently. Maybe you don't know this, but you can listen with your whole body. And whole body listening is really the way to set the compasses, or to start to recalibrate the compasses. The vagus nerve, which runs down from the brain, down the sides of the head, into the arms, into the upper chest, lower chest, and down, right down into the gut, is the main feedback nerve. And if it's working properly, then it will feed back information to your brain. For example, signals. And you've probably heard that most people are saying that burnout is something that creeps up on you. You don't realize you're burnt out until the really severe symptoms arise. And this is true. Your body is giving distress signals like mad. And you're ignoring them because your vagus nerve is not toned up. Well, this is just one of the aspects that I look at. So here's the brain and the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. They're both important. And the cerebellum here is important, and the brainstem is the oldest part of the brain, and it's really responsible for things like hunger and thirst, sex drive, and so on. Okay, so the sensory cortex and RAS, the reticular activating system, filters what we notice. Okay, and the sensory cortex tunes our perceptions. But if we're only working from the brain and excluding the body and the nervous systems, we have three, then our outer awareness is very dull. Yeah, and I can see it here in Japan very clearly. Here in Japan, most young people wear headphones and they ride bicycles or they walk, and they're completely unaware of what's going on around them. So here in Japan, we have so many bicycle accidents because they can't hear the danger signals, and they are largely, young people here in Japan are largely very unaware. Their vagus nerve is very dull, mostly here. So practicing your outer awareness really sharpens the filters that we use to perceive what's going on in the world. And here's the vagus nerve, okay? And you can see here are the four compasses, and the vagus nerve comes right down into the chest and into the gut and down into the arms. And it comes from the cranium, from the brain. And it's the main feedback nerve. But if this isn't working properly, then you're not going to get the right signal. So most people with burnout have very poor vagus nerve tone. The brainstem, just a little more about the brain, it governs breath, heart, and your calmness. And the vagus nerve connects your breath and your gut and your spirit. And so you may not know this either, but conscious breathing, deep breathing, is essential for self-healing, for developing resilience, which, by the way, does not start in the mind. It starts in the nervous system, and clarity. Okay, so breath is so important. And if we're working on screens all the time and we are stressed, then we are rarely aware of our breath. And so we're missing out on all of this, which could keep us afloat. The third compass, so the first is the brain, the second is the heart and lungs. Then we go going back there. Just one moment, just go back. Sorry, got a jumpy mouse. Okay, so the third compass, yes, is the spine and the solar plexus. And some people say the spine is the tower of the soul, and it certainly is the place that consciousness runs down the spinal cord from the brain to the base of the spine, inside your vertebra. Okay, that's why the spine is so crucial. It's your central axis, it's your tower, if you like. And so I talk to people a lot about this verticality, about getting in touch with the ground, and about energy flowing between the root of your base of your spine if you're sitting, and the soles of your feet if you're standing, right up to the crown of the head. And so, yeah, we can see some of the interesting things about posture. If you're sitting like this and you were standing, you'd look like this. Well, I'm afraid that's what many people look like if they don't do any body awareness work. But if you sit properly in your chair, as if the chair is your legs, then this is how you're going to stand. So these basic ideas about posture are really important. So vertical alignment is really, really important, but it's not really about posture, that's behavior. And behavior, actually, 95% of your behavior is out of your control. It's controlled by your nervous system. You can't do anything about it. Yeah. Without certain work. And that's the work I do, trying to rebalance your nervous system. And now we hear people talking about presence. Yeah, people need to be more present, more authentic. And we can talk about that. But I was talking to several people the other day, and I said, how can you become more present in your life? Whoops. And they said, don't know, no idea. So they had no idea how to start. And I think that is the problem with embodiment. Now, people are using this word willy-nilly, but when you ask them how it works, then they just come up with a list of concepts. Yeah, they're not practicing it, they're not living it. Embodiment is about living in your body, truly living in your body. So, in fact, your spine becomes a channel, not just for your consciousness, but for truth. And if you have that working properly, then you will not need to make so much effort. You will become magnetic to others, and you will attract all the people that can make your business or your life thrive. Alignment is something, we can see it here in my cat. This is my cat. Actually, she's no longer with us, but some years ago, this was my cat. And this shot really, to me, sums up the essence of presence. Every skin pore, every hair follicle is alive and alert. And of course, she's hunting, or she's heard something that could be a threat. So animals use their whole bodies to listen. And similarly, we can see the figure on the left sitting in the lotus position. That figure is listening with its whole body. Yeah. And we can see on the right the chakras. These are the wheels of energy, and you can see they coincide with my compasses: the brain, the throat, the lungs, the heart, the solar plexus, and the base chakra. And I'm a chakra balancer, so I often work with chakras. But the whole point about verticality and vertical alignment is you can't force it. And so I use a technique called non-doing in my work. So there's no stretching. It's not a conscious exercise. The mind, the power of the mind, is used to make the vertical adjustments. Your mind is so powerful, but we're using it for all the wrong things. So I help to harness the mind, to use it as a laser beam, really, to get inside the body and make space and make length. And in fact, this technique called non-doing was invented by someone called Frederick Matthias Alexander, who was my esteemed teacher. He was a Tasmanian actor, and he discovered how the mind can truly be used. And that's what I practice. I've also developed various techniques on top of his basic discovery. And he was not a medical man, he was an actor, but he lost his voice. And no doctor could tell him why. And no surgery could repair it. And when he started to examine his body, his posture, if you want to call it that, his conscious position, when he acted, he realized that he was really constricting the larynx by pulling the head back, shortening the back of the neck, standing rigidly like a military person, and that this was the problem. And so he started to teach non-doing, which is what I teach too, and it is so powerful. It's difficult to describe, and you may be thinking, that sounds a bit fishy. So come and experience it, and then you'll see how it works. So yeah, let's just talk for a moment about the pineal gland. Well, this is between the eyes, and it's responsible, very strongly responsible, for perception, reflection, and timing. Yeah. So really, the pineal gland is not just about biology. Some people call it the third eye. In yoga and meditation, Indian style meditation, we call it the third eye because it's about perception. It goes beyond what the mind is capable of. So the pineal gland is not just another element in your biology. It's really a tuning fork for coherence. And this is what we need if we're going to balance the body, soul, and mind. And meditators talk about the luminosity of the pineal gland between the eyebrows. So I'll be talking about that too in practice. So yes, very simply, the brain is good at stories, it's good at thinking, and identity. And of course, the trouble is we identify too strongly with our minds. The whole of our developed societies are based on IQ. Okay, I'm glad to see that is changing now into EQ. Very glad about that. And my work involves that too. The brain stem here at the back of the brain is really about breath and posture and reflexes. So that's really important. And this is the most ancient part of the brain. So it's also responsible for thirst and hunger and sex drive and various other things that we need, urges that we have in life. The pineal gland also is about inner timing and spiritual perception. So those three things are so important. And yet we put all our investments into the brain, which is really only capable of these things. So, yeah, it's really interesting that the cranial compass, here's a tuning fork, by the way, which I use to describe the alignment of the compasses in the human body. The cranial compass up in the top of the body is really interesting because it contains traces of magnetite. Okay. Magnetite is a magnetic element. We can find it actually in rocks. And the reason I called my product Lodestone is that many hundreds of years ago, before the mechanical compass was invented, sailors and travelers in the desert and so on, when they couldn't navigate by the stars and sun and the moon and so on, used magnetite to find their direction. It has a great effect on your circadian rhythms and your inner radiance, and also on melatonin, which really gives the skin its color. So the crown compass listens inward before deciding to go outward. And we can find traces of magnetite in this compass. So it's already a perfect compass, but chances are it's not calibrated properly. Magnetite also works to activate light perception, not just vision, and we find that in the pineal gland. We perceive light through the pineal gland, the third eye. So I'm not talking about seeing. That's something very different. And we do too much of that in my book. So when we put these four compasses together, I haven't got time today to talk about the solar plexus and the base chakra, but I will do soon. Then we have the whole thing. We have outer awareness, we have breath as an anchor, we have the spine, the vertical tower as a conduit of consciousness, and we have the crown as the perceiver with the third eye and the brain stem. And so you can become a living compass if you are properly set up. And that's what my Lodestone product does. Yeah, it's a 30 minutes a day practice. You can do it twice a day if you have time. And you do it for 30 days. And each session is a deep ceremony, actually. The first one of listening, outer body listening, full body listening. The second one, embodying, and the third one, returning. And we go through these three ceremonies 10 times. So by the end of the 30 days, you are very likely to get in touch with your true nature, from which you have been separated because of social conditioning and the conspiracy of the 9-to-5 grind, the conspiracy of mass education. All of these things are so outdated and outmoded now. So you can get this and do it anywhere. By the way, I don't advocate headphones. I don't advocate headphones in any way. They are not good for your general health. And if you want to develop your outer body listening, you'll never do it if you're using headphones. Okay? So basically, let me come back to you. So that's just a little bit of background about what I do. But the biggest message I want to give you is that it's no good talking about it or writing about it. You have to take action. Yeah, action is the only way you're going to recalibrate your compasses, your inner compasses, and get balance between your body, spirit, and mind. It's the only way. It's experiential, you see. And that's where my Buddhist work comes in, because you can't work with the Buddhist teachings unless you experience them. You can't analyze them. They're not made from the human mind. They're not about cognition. They're not about reasoning or any of those things that we use. And we need them. I'm not saying we don't. They come from the heart. The Buddhist teachings come from the whole body, and the whole body is involved. So if you want to really practice a faith, and Buddhism is not a religion, religions are dependent. There's an external God, usually, and we depend on that God. Buddhism is about depending on yourself. And it's a way of life. It's nothing to do with religious faith. It's a very, very different kind of faith. And so, yeah, the whole body is involved in my Buddhist practice and has been for 6 decades. Yeah. And this is really the biggest message I'd like to get across to you today. You can't analyze it. You can't read about it. You can't learn about it. It does not compute with any of those things. It's all about you and your body and your experience. So I urge you to come and work with me. I'm here every Monday lunchtime, and I will continue to do that until you really invest in this work. And I promise you, once you have invested in embodiment, you'll never look back. You'll never suffer from burnout, and you will be truly happy. And by the way, I've just released a book. It's called Your Body is Your Business Plan. And it's an embodiment book for business owners. It's releasing very soon, maybe tomorrow. Not sure exactly how Amazon is working with it at the moment, but it's all loaded onto Amazon. So if you'd like to know more about my book, you'll find it on my profile. I'll be talking about it quite a lot in the upcoming days. But yeah, the biggest step you need to take now is to come and experience embodiment. Don't talk about it. Don't read about it. Don't write about it. Certainly experience it, and then you'll see exactly what I mean. Thanks so much for joining me today. Not sure how many people are going to see this, and certainly we've got nobody live in the studio, but never mind, you'll come eventually, I know it, and I will keep prodding you. So thank you so much, and I'll see you around on LinkedIn and other platforms, always talking about embodiment. Thank you so much. Bye for now.